talked to him earlier and he said we were in person.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Okay, can you guys hear us just fine? Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Perfect.
So do I.
Good. Thank you, Helene.
You're welcome. Good to see you, or not seeing you, but hearing you.
Yeah, I put the video on you for a second so before we get the meeting started. Good to see you again, Elaine. It's been a while.
I guess so. It's hard not to age with this COVID, you know?
Yeah,
It has been at least a good year. Yeah.
right?
Everything is good with your family?
Yes, everything is good. Yep, now doing just fine. Yep. Got a 9-year-old. Well, she's actually home from school sick today, but otherwise, yeah, she was one of the few school districts that actually had school today. So she's a.
Oh, hey guys, how are you?
Oh, hey, Aaron, how are you?
Good. Do you mind where I
Yeah,
sit?
Manawa had school too.
Oh, Mano had school today?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So did Iola.
Oh, Iola went to school too. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I guess it was Waupaca, Manawa, and Iola that all had school.
Braves.
I heard Hortonville, New London, and Waupaca was off today.
Yep. Clintonville had school in the morning, and then they, I think, closed down at noon or at 1 o'clock. Excuse me, 1 o'clock
Oh, they
today.
did at 1. Okay.
Yep.
Just let me know when you're on.
Oh, don't worry.
Maybe before the meeting starts, could you tell me out on the map, I see there is a tower in Ogdensburg. What's the exact location?
Of which tower?
In Ogdensburg, I noticed there is a little flag or whatever, a little marker there. Is it on the firehouse?
So there really isn't a tower actually in Ogdensburg. There was a tower recently built in Ogdensburg, just to the south of the burg, off on County E.
Right.
Yep, and that wasn't part of this project. But that wasn't part of the broadband tower project. That was a separate project.
Right, I know that, and that's why when I looked at the map, whichever map I found, was that in the Waupaca article, that there was a little flag on
Oh,
the
yeah.
burg. So I was wondering.
Yeah, you know what? Let me bring that up, because I can show you where that is.
Okay,
Let's see here, because that one that you're seeing, that one's actually at the PTF.
what's the PTF?
The process transfer facility outside of Manawa.
Yes, outside of Manawa. Okay, it looked like, the little flag is between Manawa, really close to Ogdensburg. So I was wondering, and since you had originally said there would be 10 sites and I counted 11, I thought, oh, maybe there's a new one there. Oh, good.
Yeah, what you're seeing is this one right here, right? The number one, where the number 1 is.
Yeah, I don't have exactly the same map, right? But yes, it overlaps. Yes.
Yep.
So that's the PTF. Okay.
This is the PTF one, right? Exactly. This is the one, yep, just outside of Manawa. And so this one really is about the closest one to the burg that we got, because this one's right on the far boundary of on Little Wolf, the town of Little Wolf.
We do have a quorum. So Bob Asman was not able to attend.
Okay. Bob Van Asten.
Yes. Yes,
Okay, sounds good. Good to go.
Dave asked me.
Oh, Dave wasn't. Bob Van Asten is here. All right, sounds good. So hello, everyone. We're here for the Waupaca County Citizens Public Participation Committee. It is 2:05. We'll call this meeting to order. Opening meeting statement. This meeting and all other meetings of the committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Roll call. I'll just start with myself. Aaron Jensen is here. David Asman.
No,
Oh, David's the one that's going. Sorry, I keep getting mixed up. David's not here. Dennis Cussman. No Dennis?
No.
Elaine Pohl.
Here?
Mark Forsyth.
Here.
Bob Van Asten.
Present.
And I think that's everyone. Did I miss anyone as far as committee members go? Okay. Do we have anyone else in attendance virtually?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, with roll call being done, we would be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mark Forsyth approves the agenda as presented.
Okay, a motion by Mark. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, second by Paul. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. All right, with that, we'll move on to item number 5, update on the status of the Community Development Block Grant Broadband Towers Project. I am guessing Jeff or Ryan.
Absolutely. I'll take the first part of this and give a quick once over in terms of the project update, and then I'll hand it over to Jeff to give an update on where we're at in terms of the funding to date. So the long and short of it is that the towers are completely done here. But what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take a step back in time and kind of give you a feel for some of the progress that was made, or what the progress pictures in terms of the different foundations and what they look like and where they're at, and with the coverage maps. And so you'll see on the main on the screen right now, you see that this is the sign that we have out here. This is a requirement as part of us accepting these community development block grant monies. We had to have a sign out there that giving showing that Dick Heppen, our county board chair, and of course that the Tony Evers and Joel Brennan, our secretary of the state of Wisconsin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to just show a couple of pictures here to kind of give you a feel for what this looked like as we were going along. So this is a picture of the foundation. Now this is a typical foundation that we were using for 120-foot towers. Just to kind of take a step back, let you guys know in terms of the towers that we were using. 2 towers were 100 feet. And let's see, what would that be? 2, and then 7 of the towers were 120 feet. And then we had 2 other towers that were 175 feet. And so this foundation right here is what was the typical foundation that was being used for all the towers except for the 175-foot towers. So what you'll see in this picture is this octagonal shape here, or this hexagon, sorry, was actually custom made by the contractor that we had hired for this project. And so what they had done was, you'll see that there's a 3-sided tower, the structure on it, and then you see this here. This is the ground ring that goes all the way around the foundation to make sure that the towers are properly grounded. Now I'm going to show you what the foundation looks like on a 175-foot tower. And you can see here, this is quite a bit of a different looking foundation. And now you see the cribbing that they had to put in, and they had to excavate out a pretty big hole for these, because you can see for a 175-foot tower, the width at the base was quite a bit larger. And so what they had to have was these separate sonotubes here for each leg of the tower. Now this particular site was at the Gritzmacher site. This is one of the last sites that we included in this project. This property was actually donated to the town by a private property owner. It's about 31 acres that he ended up donating for the town. And what's really kind of cool about this project is that we put this broadband tower kind of off in the corner of the field, and the rest of the property is going to be used as a town park. So I'm currently working with the town on developing that as we're going to put some recreational fields out there and a bunch of walking trails and things along those lines. So it's kind of cool that we're able to use this also with a broadband tower on site as well. So in terms of what these towers actually look like, so this tower right here, this is a 120-foot tower. And this tower is actually the one at the town of Lebanon. And so this one here being 120 feet, this is the 100-foot one looks exactly like this. The only difference is that there's a couple of segments off of the top of it. Otherwise, it's exactly the same looking tower. Now I'll show you a picture of what so this right here, this is the 175-foot tower. And so you can see at the bottom of the base where they have that much wider base on this, and that's why, because you need that a little extra structural rigidity to be able to support a tower of that height. One quick thing to note on these towers is that when we first bidded out the project, we were going with some fairly lighter weight towers, and our contractor talked us into going with a heavier weight tower, specifically to make sure that these are as future proof as they possibly can be. And so what initially the towers were going to be the hollow, the legs on them, so to make lighter weight, and they're cheaper. But by going to a solid steel construction, they're much heavier duty, and they can basically handle any type of new technology that might be coming down the road in terms of any additional loading at the top of the tower. So the idea being that no matter what new technology is developed down the road, these towers will be able to handle it. The other thing that we made sure of when it comes to future proofing is the electric. We have 100 amp service at nearly every one of these towers. There's one tower at the town of Lebanon that's 60 amp. Otherwise, they're 100 amp. And 100 amps is a lot of electricity available for these towers. There's really no way that we could possibly have the equipment on here that's going to actually be needing the 100 amp. But when it comes to accepting primary power off of power poles, the electric companies as a default is going to be using 100 amp anyway. And again, when it comes to future proofing, we just want to make sure that no matter what we're going to be using these towers for, we'll have plenty enough when it comes to electricity for these towers. The last picture I want to show you is this one here. So coincidentally, this picture and the last one I showed you, this is the 175 tower at the PTF, a process transfer facility just outside of Manawa. This is the same. So this here gives you a feel for what the compound itself looks like. And this is going to be typical at every single one of the towers. So what you'll see is that the compound is about 18 to 20 feet on a side, depending on 20 feet if it's a 175-foot tower, or 18 feet if it's a 120-foot tower or a 100-foot tower. You'll see that the pedestal here, these pedestals are actually on the inside of the compound because we're getting our electricity straight from the PTF, whereas the tower sites where we were getting the power from power poles, they requested that the meters be on the outside, so that way the power companies can access them without having to get it on the inside of the compound. You'll see that these are 6-foot tall fencing with barbed wire on top, with a gate, and they're all with padlocks on them. And so I gave the combination for the padlock to all the people that basically own the property that we put these towers on. So essentially what I mean by that is all the towns that have allowed us to put a tower on their town hall property, they have now access to the inside of the compound if for whatever reason may be that they might need to get access to it. So the idea now is that they're all secured, at least secured enough so that the average person won't be able to gain access to it, because some of these are in obviously public places. So any questions on the physical structures of the towers, the compound, electricity, or the meter, anything associated with the towers themselves? So in terms of where we're at with the progress of this project, the towers themselves are completely done. They're all erected. The compounds are done. The fencing is done. The gates are done. And in fact, all of them are all energized as well. And so the next step, or I should say really the only step left in terms of putting a bow on this project is going to be to put the antennas on top of these towers. That part of the project is not done yet. The biggest reason for that is because of the weather and the time of year. So the Waupaca Online is waiting for favorable conditions to be able to climb these towers. They've already got equipment to be able to equip these. It's just a matter of finding the opportunity to get out there and get them hooked up. Once they get hooked up, there's a fair amount of testing that needs to be done to make sure that everything is calibrated just right. And then once that's done, then it's just a matter of working down a list of customers to get hooked onto broadband. And so to that end, we are hosting informational meetings countywide for the questions and answers, to kind of go over basically a lot of what's being discussed right now, to let people understand what these towers are, why we built them, and how they might be able to benefit themselves. So we've already had one meeting at the town of Caledonia, and we had a meeting this past Wednesday at the lower level of the courthouse. And we have a meeting tonight in the town of Union, the town hall at 6 o'clock. And we have our third and final meeting this Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the Fox Valley Tech up in Clintonville. So the last picture I just want to show you is this coverage map. Now you've seen this before, but this just to kind of refresh your memory in terms of, these are the locations of where all these towers are. Again, we put the vast majority of them on town hall sites or properties that is owned by either Waupaca County or owned by a municipality. So the reason for that is because we did not have the time and the resources to be negotiating a lease with private property owners. It was a lot easier for us to be able to secure leases with town hall properties or properties that the county already owns. Again, all these sites were looked at in terms of how their effectiveness would be, because the last thing we wanted to do was put towers in sites where they really didn't make it wasn't very effective in terms of being able to give a fair amount of people internet. And so what we did was we showed Waupaca Online where we're looking at putting a tower, and then they put their drone up to about the exact height where their antennas would be. And they used that to get a feel for what the obstructions were and how well that we might be able to serve people from that tower. I mean, none of it is going to be foolproof, because again, with fixed wireless technology, the name of the game is line of sight technology. And so if there's hills, if there's trees in the way, unfortunately, this technology is not going to help too much. I can say that the meeting that we had in the town of Caledonia, it was interesting because there was already people out there willing to borrow out chainsaws to be able to get internet, because that in some areas, unfortunately, if the trees are just in the way, and so yeah, that's the primary limitation when it comes to fixed wireless technology. So when it comes to this project, in order for us to be approved by the state, again, all this green that you show on here, this green again represents our coverage area of these towers, at least in estimated coverage area. Does not to say that all the people in this green are going to be guaranteed broadband, but the state looked at this as being one big project because all this green overlaps each other. Otherwise, each one of these towers were to be a one singular distinct project. They were able to look at this as a collective whole because all our coverages overlapped each other. Any questions in terms of the project from my end of it?
Ryan, I just have one question.
Yeah.
How are the town hall meetings going? I know you have one in Union tonight. Are you getting pretty positive feedback?
Yeah, very positive feedback. Because what these specific towers were placed in areas where we know that there was great need for broadband internet. Some of these areas, they have no options to underserved, bad options, where they didn't get a whole lot of service and it was really expensive. And so they're very excited to have another option available down the road. Again, we're being very cautious when we're at these meetings to let people know that there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to actually service you. I can say that the meeting that we had in Caledonia was very well received. Everyone was very, very happy with the project. I had a call this morning from the town chair saying that he's been getting calls from people saying that, oh, I can't hook on to this. And again, it's because of the technology that gets in the way. It's a line of sight technology. So there's just some people that we're just not going to be able to serve, unfortunately, because of their proximity issues or topography problems. But all in all, it's been very well received.
Cool. Thanks.
In addition, there's a low to moderate income formula that also has, because it's federal money, 51% has to be low to moderate income. So as they're going through, Waupaca Online is dealing with the applications. They're going to have to provide a survey to these people, and they have to identify their salary range so that they can determine whether they're low to moderate or not.
That's right. Thanks for the reminder. I forgot about that too.
Right. So that does it for my portion. Jeff, if you want to go over the financial side?
Sure. For those that don't know me, I'm Jeff McCorsky. I took over for Dave in August, so I've been dealing with the CDBG grant administration since that time, which is fun to just jump into a big project like this and try to swim. Overall, the project is the total amount for the project. The budget was $849,076. Of that, $464,100 is coming from community development block grant monies, federal monies, with a match of $384,946. Currently, we've got one pay application that processed for $249,000. That leaves roughly $210,000 left. We have the application. We supplied the payment application request, and we have to go through a monitoring process before they will finish off the funding for the grant. And even though we've provided all the receipts for the amount for the community development block grant monies, we'll have to continue and provide all the receipts for the matching part as well. So even though the towers are up, we're still going through that process of getting the money that we deserve and showing that we're paying the matching portion as well. I think that's all I had. Are there any questions on financially? Again, this is the second public hearing that even though the towers are up, the project is still ongoing because the access to the wireless is not available. We had to do this public hearing while the project was still going on and get any input, any citizen input regarding the project. It sounds like we can also, if you have minutes or notes from those other meetings, we can add them to it just to make them realize we're trying to get the word out as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So any questions?
Yes, I have. First of all, I want to compliment you because this is incredible how you got this done while we were all huddled in our houses. You were able to put those towers and you are on time really with your project. My question is dealing with the financial part, and I don't know if you can answer from a customer point of view. Have you thought about a price structure for Waupaca Online? The reason that I can tell you where I'm going with this, the reason is that we obviously have broadband here, but it's really very slow. I'm looking the last time what my download was 2.97 and upload was 0.65. So it's not very good, but I do with what I have. And I stopped at our phone provider at Verizon in Appleton, and they now have a little gizmo that we can put in our house to increase our gigabyte. How does that compare with what you are about to do? Is it the same service you would be providing?
So Helene, you see on the, I hopefully you're seeing it on your screen now. I just brought up Waupaca Online's website that they have showing the different structures. So that's one kind of the nice things about Waupaca Online is that they have there's pricing structure is set up based on what your needs are. The first thing that they do is they ask you what you use the internet for. You know, are you just a casual web browser with some email, or do you have, you know, are you gaming? Are you streaming, you know, 4K movies a lot? You know, so are you, because the interesting thing about the internet is that a lot of times people think that they need far more than what they actually do. And so the idea here is we try to right size your needs based on how much, so you're not paying for something that you're not actually using. And so you'll see here that, you know, so they have, if you're just a casual user, the 5 megabit per second, you get that for, you know, $25 if you're a Waupaca resident, or $45 if you're outside in the rural areas.
Okay.
And so this is what they have that's available for you, 10 megabits, 25. And again, this is, I just brought up Waupaca Online's website. There's a separate setup fee of $95. That's a one-time fee that they have. And that's just to come out to your house and to hook up the antenna to your structure or somewhere on your property, so that you can actually bring internet into your house. They will sell you a router. You don't have to use their router. They can use their own. Use your own if you want.
Okay, so all that information, if people are to ask, is already on Waupaca Online.
Absolutely. Yep. This is Waupaca Online's website that I got up right now.
Okay, thank you so much. That was my question. Yeah.
Just a quick comment on the financial side in terms of our budget. We were largely on budget with this. We just had a couple things that kind of came in. We had a couple of curveballs that just showed up. A couple of the sites where we didn't think we were going to need an access road. Turns out we did need one, so we ended up having to build a road out to one of our sites. Actually, 2 sites needed access roads. Other than that, one of the other big things that caught us off guard was weather. Once we got into November, December, when you have a 110-ton crane going up hills, turned into a bit of an issue with snowstorms and ice. And so there was a lot of late night phone calls to the highway shop asking them to come out and make sure to salt some access roads and get ourselves plowed out. But beyond that, we largely stayed right on target with our budgeting. 2 of the sites, the town of DuPont's town halls tower and the highway shop up on Highway 45, their foundations ended up being way more expensive than what we were initially expecting. And that's because they have, at the town of DuPont site, it's all unconsolidated gravel. And so they ended up having to dig 14-foot pylons for their foundation. And the one at the highway shop, they had standing water at 3 feet. So that one, they had to have special cribbing, and then they had to dig really deep on that one. And it was, again, they had to use 14-foot pylons for a foundation on that one too. So those were quite a bit more expensive than initially budgeted. But beyond that, we stayed right on target.
I've got a question regarding, I know it's targeted low and moderate income, but obviously there's going to be people outside of that are going to want this too. How are they going to target the low and moderate income first and then like a waiting list for the others? Or do you know how that's going to work?
I think they're just going to be taking them on as they come in. Because we know that some of these areas, the majority of the people, they're going to be in that low to moderate income range. So we're not too concerned about the 51% per se.
Okay.
We're really more so concerned with just deploying broadband internet. We know that in the end, we're not going to have a hard time meeting that 51% ratio. So right now, it's just a matter of getting internet out there to the people as fast as we can.
And it's expected around 400 people would be able to access these towers. So until you hit 200, that's when you may want to start paying attention to that. How many are below and how many are above.
That makes sense. And have they given you any idea when this will be up and running? I know it's kind of weather contingent when they can get, the antennas up there.
Right now, they're looking at June is the safe buy date is June. Now, it may be earlier than that, but in terms of when there should be fully operational is going to be June 1st.
Okay, great.
Because the thing of it is they're using some new technology on 2 of the towers. They're using licensed microwave on 2 of the towers. They've never used that before. And so there's going to be some extra testing involved. But the really nice thing about that, and the whole point of it, is that it's meant to increase the user experience. So what we're trying to do with this is not only provide broadband out in the countryside, but we want to have it be worthwhile, high quality broadband. So, so it's because the thing is nowadays, streaming is pretty much, there's a lot of cord cutters nowadays. You don't have cable through your typical means. And so we know that when it comes to broadband needs, it's important to have the proper bandwidth available. And so we're trying to make sure that the technology available is the best possible.
Good.
I have one more question. And Jeff can relate to this as well. So we know that broadband access to internet is huge. First of all, it's a huge deal for people that are living there, and it's awesome that we're being able to serve them. So I want to really echo this poll and say it is an awesome project. And the fact that it's such a great project my mind then goes to, and I know we're in the middle of constructing it, and we're just worried about getting it operational right now, but using it as a tool and promoting that the project is happening as a really unique partnership to provide internet in rural places to attract people. as well.
Absolutely.
So have we thought about ways we can do that? And maybe now's not the time, but certainly starting conversations around what are good ways we can get the word out about this project for a lot of reasons. But for one, being attracting workforce and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the millennials nowadays, I mean, it's a prerequisite, for people to move back to an area. You need it. It's not it's not a luxury item anymore. It's a utility. And I know that what Aaron is talking at here is it's a much bigger issue that Waupaca County is facing. We have an aging population. We're not replacing ourselves. And so one of the big things that we need to solve if we're going to put Waupaca County in a great position, and by extension, our cities and villages, I should say, is we need to get our demographic problems fixed in some way. And so what that comes down to is when people raise their families here in Waupaca County and they leave to go to school, we're trying to attract them to come back here to raise their families here. And in order for us to be able to do that, we know full well that broadband in the countryside is going to be a prerequisite for that. The other thing that we're seeing right now is a huge increase in home occupations. This pandemic has really made teleworking a very big thing. There's a lot of companies right now that's going to just dedicated telework. And so there's a lot of workers now that aren't showing up in brick and mortar anymore. They're staying home. And in order for that to be a reality, we got to have a high-speed internet. And so there's so many things that could potentially be solved by having these far-flung areas able to have internet. And so hopefully in time, this is going to make us more competitive when it comes to solving the big riddle, which is, why would somebody want to move to Waupaca County as opposed to Portage County or Outagamie County? That's where when you look at Portage County, it's a college town. And so there's a lot more things available for our younger generations over there. If we're going to lure them away from the Stevens Point, Portage County area to move to the city of Waupaca and a county of Waupaca, broadband internet is the first key to that. There's several other things that we need that we know the the younger generation coming in needs. The big one is that they don't live to work. They work to live. It's a whole different thing. And so for them, they need to have outdoor recreation abilities as well. So that's one of the things with the Greenways Commission. We're trying to may have more trails, and we're trying to broadcast that out there as well to show all the different natural features that we have to try to bring in the new generation to hopefully fix our demographic issue. Because if we can fix our demographic issue, by extension, where we're going to be helping is our school districts with their struggling enrollment, and all of our business parks and industrial parks who are having a trouble filling out all of our jobs. If we bring those people in that perfect demographic of the childbearing age, that will help out a lot of people. It'll help out our cities and villages and our business community.
And I think this project will start to gain strength when the antennas and when it's up and running. And the other thing that's going on is the broadband study that just came out through New North. That's going to be another tool that we can use to get additional funding to expand out other ways for high-speed internet. So I think it'll be showing the successes of this and other providers expanding, but we also have the opportunities coming up to get additional monies or through ARPA funding, get providers on board to continue to expand out that area. So I think this will just be a part of that big push to advertise and educate everybody on what we're going through and how we're trying to improve the high-speed internet in the county. So
yeah, I think it's just another. I'm just trying to think of all the cool things happening in Waupaca County. And, you know, people don't move for one thing, but all of them together collectively, if we can tell a story about all of these things that are happening, people are like, hey, that's a cool region in the state to go, you know. So anyway, they go along, but all great points.
Yep, and that's a great point, Jeff, that realistically, I mean, that we need to look at this project as just phase one. You know, like once this is done, we're not done with broadband expansion. There's a lot more work to be done. When that report comes out, we get to take a look at that and look at, you know, hear what they're saying. And then from there, it's working with our school districts to find where our empty spots are. And also just looking at what's left in terms of the Public Service Commission, where our areas are of greatest need. And our hope is to have broadband saturation in the county in the years to come. And that's the thing about this ARPA money. It does give us quite an opportunity to actually be able to do it. Before, it was always a matter of funding. Fiber optic cabling is incredibly expensive, but now that we have funding available, it's become actually economically viable.
Jeff, you mentioned, I couldn't hear you well on a New North study.
Yes.
Is that readily available to the public?
I can send you a copy. We are having a meeting on Thursday to kind of present to the county, the county stakeholders. I'm sorry?
Okay. No, that's okay. I don't mean to get, you know, a special copy. You alluded to it, and I was wondering if it was already accessible. No, that's all right.
It's not, but Thursday is when we're going to be kind of presented with the information. I can provide that to you at that point. I'll send a copy to everyone.
Okay, thank you. And Ryan, what is the Grismacher site? Which township is that?
That's in the town of Caledonia.
Oh, that's the Caledonia site.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So it's in the far southeastern corner. It's north of Bean City Road. You're familiar with that area?
Thank you.
It's called, Ivan Gritzmacher was the gentleman that donated the land to the town. And so that's why we're calling it after, naming it after him.
All right. If there are no further updates and no further questions, I think we kind of just covered citizen input and feedback, but I'll open it up to that just in case anyone has received any questions or comments outside of this meeting. Has anyone received anything they'd like to share? Okay, hearing none, we would be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I have one more question. I think you talked earlier about the reduced pricing. Do you have any idea for low and to moderate income? Would that be half of what's on the website, on the Waupaca online website?
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I thought that last I heard Josh talk about that, he was saying that the low to moderate income is $25. If you meet that low to moderate income threshold, is $25 a month.
But that's what it is right now for Waupaca. It would be for the rural residential.
Right, and so that's what I don't know exactly, and I don't know where I don't know where it's written on here, or if it is, maybe it's on a different site he has. Yeah, I'd have to ask him. I'm actually going to be in a meeting with him tonight, but I don't know what exactly that $25 gives you. I don't know if it's a break from this 45. If you're a Waupaca or rural residents, it's 45, and you get a breakdown of 25. I believe that's what it is, but I'm not 100%.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll wait for the details. I'm just saying when I have questions.
Sure.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. If not, we would be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Paul, second by, I'm sorry, who was that?
That was Mark.
Or Seth. Perfect. Thank you. To adjourn, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned at 2:44 PM. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good job, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
Hope to see you soon.